Welcome to the Fantasy Fangirls podcast, where two sisters dive deep into beloved fantasy lore, characters, themes, theories, and more.
I'm Lexi, older sister and fantasy lore nerd.
And I'm Nicole, younger sister and romantic at heart.
And we are here to help cure your book hangover.
We are beyond excited to get ready for our deep dive of Quicksilver by Callie Hart, starting next Monday, October 6th.
Today's episode is an intro ahead of our coverage of the Fae Alchemy Series, which we highly recommend you tune into as we explain how spoilers will work for these episodes. We'll walk through our deep dives format, yes, including the new segment names, and what you can expect from these jam-packed episodes.
We'll also be giving you a little insight as to who we are, what Fantasy Fangirls is all about, and how we fell in love with Quicksilver and decided it will be our next deep dive.
But first, don't worry, there are no spoilers in this intro episode. Everyone can safely listen to this, no matter what books you have or haven't read.
Except maybe make your children not listen to this, because we should also let you know that we are adults who say adult things about very adult books. But right here at the top of the episode, let's go ahead and address how spoilers will be working for these deep dives, because it is very, very important for you all to know.
While each deep dive episode will focus on the specific Quicksilver chapters we're covering, every episode will include spoilers for this entire first book in the Fae Alchemy series. We are also going to bring up what we learned from the bonus chapter available in the new hardcover release and updated version of the ebook. Those are the same chapter there, and the 3 chapters available for free on Callie Hart's website. To make this deep dive the best that it possibly can be, from the get-go, episode 1, we openly discuss themes, lore, foreshadowing, and other insights across all released book content. So please, we don't want you to be spoiled by this book, so only listen to our Quicksilver episodes if you have finished Quicksilver, as well as the bonus chapters. Our coverage will lead up to the release of book 2 in the Fae Alchemy series, Brimstone, and we will go straight into deep diving this book after it comes out.
On the other hand, even though we have covered the Kindred's Curse saga, Empyrean, ACOTAR, all of those books on Fantasy Fangirls, these Quicksilver episodes will be safe from Empyrean, ACOTAR, and Kindred's Curse plot spoilers. We might occasionally reference a character trait or an inside joke from those previous deep dives, but we will be very mindful about no story spoilers in case you have not read them.
Which, hey, if you have read these book series but you have not listened to our other deep dives, you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds more hours of Fantasy Fangirls content to listen to as we all wait for Brimstone to come out.
This book podcast is not your typical book podcast. When we say deep dive, oh boy, we mean deep dive. These episodes may be long, but we promise there's plenty of structure and flow to them so you can easily follow along.
First up in every episode, Nicole will kick us off by singing Laura's Ballad. This is where she'll give a summary of what happens in this episode's chapters, but friends, Nicole does chapter summaries like you've never heard before. They are unhinged in the best possible way, especially for this coverage.
Then we will don our amulets and step through the Quicksilver to discuss key insights, themes, character analysis, and definitely theories. This is going to be the meat of every episode. We will also then tap into our oracle magic and turn our full attention to important foreshadowing moments for the rest of the book, as well as speculations for Brimstone.
Afterward, I will walk you through a world building topic to help us all better understand the lore and how it fits into the story. We're calling this segment Rosarius' Library, and friends, we better all bring our crackers, okay? No food allowed in this library. A few of these world building topics will include alchemy, Zilvarin, the gods, everything we know about Quicksilver, and so much more.
Finally, we will wrap up every episode with prancing through the snow with Onyx. This is where we're going to finish the episode out with favorite quotes, heartfelt moments, and other tidbits that made our hearts oh so happy from this stretch of chapters. In case you are just as excited as we are to get started, here is the schedule for the upcoming few episodes. Quicksilver will have a total of 6 episodes. We originally planned on doing 5, and then we realized that is insane. Starting off with a jam-packed first week. Episode 1 will be covering chapters 1 through 7, and that will release on Monday, October 6th. Episode 2, covering chapters 8 through 14, will release that same Thursday, October 9th.
Surprise!
It's so exciting. I can't wait. After that, episodes 3 through 6 will all be released on Mondays. The full chapter by chapter episode breakdown is pinned to our social media accounts and available on our website calendar for easy access.
Ahead of Brimstone's release on November 18th, we will also drop a Quicksilver recap episode that is a condensed version of everything you need to know before starting the sequel. And then, like we mentioned, we'll start deep diving Brimstone soon after it comes out. So with all that said, hi, hello, allow us to introduce ourselves.
In case you are new to Fantasy Fangirls, first of all, hey, hi, hello, welcome to the party. Fantasy Fangirls is a deep dive podcast that's like best friends book club meets your favorite English professor class. We analyze characters, highlight foreshadowing, discuss theories, expand on world building, and share so many more insights with many much pop culture references, sisterly banter, a bet or two, and of course, inappropriate jokes all along the way.
Fantasy Fangirls truly has grown into so much more than a podcast over these past 2 years. We're a book community that bonds over our love for fantasy, with more than 100,000 weekly listeners and 14 million downloads, 20,000 5-star reviews, over 500,000 followers across social platforms, and 4,000 members in our Fantasy Fan Club subscriber community. Together, we all celebrate the real-life impact of these fantasy stories. We connect with each other through these fictional characters, their journeys, and the fictional worlds that hold such a special place in all of our hearts.
As for us individually, hello, I'm Nicole, aka the Little Sister. I love romance and fantasy and will frequently write love letters to smut literature and often make sex jokes. A little over 2 years ago, I started reading fantasy after years and years and years of nonfiction, thinking it would fix everything in my life. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Fantasy did. Looking for that one thing that would give me the spark that I felt like was missing. So on a whim, complete whim, I decided to pick up A Court of Thorns and Roses. I'd never heard of this series before. I'd never seen the cover, but something about the red neon really made me just want to dive in. And I immediately fell head over heels with this genre, and it reignited my love of reading. I am not being dramatic when I say this book completely changed my life.
And I'm Lexi, Nicole's older sister, and I'm 3 years older. We both live in Colorado, and we live pretty close to one another. It's amazing. I'm the mom between us, and I have 2 young children. My son is 4, and my daughter just turned 3. I was climbing the corporate marketing ladder before kids. Then I switched to part-time freelancing and stay-at-home mom. But that's all out the window now because Fantasy Fangirls has completely changed our lives in the best ways, like Nicole was saying. And now it is both of our full-time careers, and we are just so incredibly grateful for it. When it comes to reading, I'm more of the lore nerd who especially loves fantasy for all its magical world building, the histories, the politics, and those nuances. It's fun because while I appreciate the romance and of course swoon over our tattooed shadow daddies, Nicole and I really do balance each other out with our different approaches to these romantasy books. I was an avid reader as a kid. I grew up on fantasy books. I absolutely loved all of it. And then, you know how life goes. I stopped reading for fun. And I forgot what that feeling of getting lost in these magical worlds really felt like as I continued growing up and being an adult. Then in late summer 2023, Nicole told me I have to read this book called A Court of Thorns and Roses. And like Nicole, it reignited the spark that I did not realize was missing. Yes, it reminded me of my love for reading and especially fantasy, but these stories have helped me find myself and be myself in a way that I never, ever would have imagined. Over these past 2 years, it has been so much fun to dive into these magical worlds, read epic stories, and turn this love for fantasy books into our dream business. And I'm just so thankful for it.
And this all brings us to our next coverage, Quicksilver. As we do with every beginning of any new coverage, let's address the question, why do we love this book? Yes, normally we include where it ranks for us in the series, but we only have book 1 right now, so we'll revisit that question when Brimstone releases in just a few months.
I'm so excited, first of all, because we have not done coverage like this since Fantasy Fangirl started with only Fourth Wing out, and then we did that in the lead up to Iron Flame. So this is the first time since then that we have covered when there's just one book out in the series. And again, leading up to the next book in the series. I love it. So when it comes to Quicksilver, why I love this book, I vibed with this book. It was a rare time that I physically read the book instead of listened on audio because the audiobook wasn't out yet. My in-laws were in town that weekend, and I was just that person sitting in the corner the whole time reading this book, Quicksilver. I devoured it. I could not stop reading.
You can't tell that story without telling my personal favorite tidbit as to what they called this book without knowing any context, only seeing the cover.
Based on the cover, they called it The Guy with the Cum on His Face.
We told you we're rated R.
I'm so fascinated by this universe with the realms and the portals, the history, the species, the different worlds, the alchemy. Don't even get me started on the gods and that whole mystery there. Quicksilver has such lovable side characters that I really cannot wait to talk about. It's one of my favorite side character series. They really contribute to the story and add emotion, humor, and real soul to this fantasy book. And I admit, I'm a Kingfisher girly. I know and understand how he is polarizing, but there is something about that bad boy that has me just kicking my feet and feeling all sorts of different things than I do with my darling Cassian, who is my number one book boyfriend.
As for me, I echo so much of what you said. I loved this book. I always know a book is going to be one of my new obsessions when I finish it and immediately want to go back and reread it. And I did that with Quicksilver instantaneously. And I also did this when the audiobook hadn't come out yet. And if you're new to Fantasy Fangirls, Lexi and I both are major audiobook people. It is very rare when we sit down and physically read a book. The fact that I read this book twice physically is unheard of. Then when the audiobook came out, of course I had to listen to the book. And then of course I had to listen to the book again. I say in total, I've probably read/listened to this book in totality like 7+ times.
Meanwhile, I've read it once and listened to it once.
But one of the things I love about this book, and always know it's going to be a great deep dive, is when I listen to this book 1.5 million times and I still find something new every single read. It's a new theory. When you and I were reading for episode 1, we found 4 theories in the first 7 chapters.
Oh my goodness, yes. We were both sitting on a plane and we were just squealing together, just so excited. Oh my goodness. That is one of the biggest reasons that I am excited to talk about this book. There are so many theories that you might not catch on a first read, but once when you really start diving into it, it's like,
oh, she's a master at those little teeny tiny Easter eggs that we just feed off of here on Fantasy Fangirls. There's also a new character every single time I read it. There's a new character that I want to learn more about. I want to hear more of their backstory. Yes, Danya is going to get 1.5 million Ls, but I want to know more about her. There's also, every single time I read it, there's a new theme that I feel like is going to be centered and explored in Brimstone. But that's all just from reading Quicksilver, because then I read the Kingfisher bonus POV chapters, and oh my God, I knew Callie had this world down. We were just scratching the surface, but hearing how much richer this world feels with the Omnom Shakrai battle and everything that happens in those bonus chapters that I don't want to get into without spoilers, oh my God, it just made me go, holy crap, Callie's got something so much bigger than we ever could have imagined. And it's not that much different from when we read Fourth Wing and we made all of our predictions for Iron Flame, and then we read Iron Flame and we were like, holy shit, this is going to be so much bigger than we ever could have imagined. I'm so excited for Brimstone, especially given these new different POV storylines. We know that there's 2 major storylines happening in Brimstone that we cannot wait to talk about in episode 1, because I feel like there's foreshadowing for it even just there. I'm so excited. Now, this would not be me if I did not discuss how excited I am to deep dive Kingfisher. This man, I cannot wait.
He's a male. He's a fae.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I'm not used to this with our ACOTAR coverage. It's been a while. I cannot wait to talk about the love story, the foreshadowing, and all the L's our boy is about to get, because holy moly. But of course, there are those spicy scenes, and damn, does Callie know how to write a sex scene. On that note, we do want to address how this book is considered more of a dark romance than we typically cover on the podcast, and how we will be handling those darker themes and especially those darker behaviors. First, we want to be mindful of one of our core values here at Fantasy Fangirls, which is celebrating all things feral in the context that they are intended. Meaning, we embrace the idea that spicy books, including dark romantasy, and the desires that arise with them are not only valid, but entirely worth celebrating. This is a space to embrace that side of you, no matter your sexual orientation, gender, body size, sexual preference, kinks, etc. And with that said, it is deeply important to us that readers are able to listen to their comfort level. So we will be adding trigger warnings in those episodes, just as we do whenever we cover topics that may be sensitive to some listeners. Which brings us to the big kahuna. Why are we doing Quicksilver for our next deep dive?
So every book that we deep dive has to hit on several things. Number one, a world that we can dive into the lore that has such rich world building and histories. Definitely a check there, especially when you read Kingfisher's bonus POV chapters.
If you all have not read the Kingfisher bonus POV chapters, which by the way, 3 of them are available on audio with Anthony Palmini, they're freaking phenomenal. We highly recommend. I think they're only available on Audible. Number 2, we need to always have characters who are 3D who we can analyze. We do not want perfect people on the page. They are going to get a lot else. We're going to talk about the choices they make and why they made them, even if we don't agree with them.
Kingfisher, you sexy male, we're looking at you. But also dimensional characters that make us laugh, who we can relate to, and that stay with us long after we finish the books. Number 3, of course, we need a rich magic system. This goes back to that world building there.
We should also mention that Callie Hart is incredible, and she is going to be a segment on the show called Call a Callie, which, if you've listened to our Kindred's Curse deep dives, is going to be very similar to Phone a Pen. When we have questions about what's going on in the context of the books, we are so grateful that we have the author on speed dial and are able to ask them questions. And last but not least, number 4, the theories. Theories are a pillar of fantasy fangirls, and boy, oh boy, does this book have them. We know Quicksilver is the first of what is anticipated to be 5 books in the Fae Alchemy series that Callie has plotted. And even just episode 1, like we were saying, we're like, holy crap, these are 7 chapters and we have like theories spinning out of our minds. I'm so excited to dive in.
Me too. Well, I guess with that, friends, we cannot wait to begin this next deep dive journey with you. We will see you again on October 6th for episode 1 of Quicksilver. And if you're not already, please, oh please, give us a follow on TikTok and / or Instagram at Fantasy Fangirls Pod for book guides, weekly trivia, and so much more. And if you prefer to watch these episodes, I know lots of people love to do that, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube to follow along.
Thank you, as always, to our executive producer, aka our sanity manager, Hayden, and of course, our content researcher, Brooke, who makes our lives so much easier. We adore you both.
We are so excited to close out the year with the Fae Alchemy series. We will see you with episode 1. Bye-bye!